January 1st. Unfortunately, nearly 30% of U.S. high school students aren't making it to graduation. And every one of us, every parent, every friend, and neighbor, has the responsibility to provide the support and encouragement they need to make it through. Because we all need to see a lot more of these pictures.
We're talking to Mr. Richard Simon. The profile is on his experiences being incarcerated in the penal system and on death row 16 years out of the 25 years and 4 months that he spent in the prison system. Of course, Richard, we were talking about some of your experiences and et cetera. Let's pick up at that point and continue.
Okay, way back when, in 1980, it was long before the gang situation got established. So you was free, you had to stand on your own back then, what I'm trying to say. So I was free to do what I want to do, be my own man. And I basically was trying to find some strength and courage to come to grips with what was facing me, which was the lecture chair. And so I spent a lot of time myself studying, reading, trying to come to grips. Like I say, as we say, looking into the mirror. You know, I can lie to you about who I am, but I can't lie to myself about who I am. So I was trying to get some understanding about how did I get here, and how can I be a man and walk down that walk. You know, we all hear about that last walk, so I'm thinking about stuff like that. And so, through the grace and mercy of the Creator, I was able to just get my eyes open about some spirituality, not in traditional sense about Christianity or Islamic faith or anything like that. It's the fact that a higher power. That's how my initial induction came into trying to serve the Creator, a higher power. I talked a lot of nights talking to him about why me, how can I change that night, which I couldn't. And so slowly but surely I began to grow up, like you say, in maturity, because I didn't get my chance to mature before because I was out doing other things. And I started making better choices for myself, you know, and back then a lot of people would come in like volunteers. And they would say things, oh man, you too young, man, we're gonna get you off death row. That's what I want to hear. So anytime people would say something good, they're gonna help you, that's what you flock with. I wasn't flocking to the people that say, oh man, we're gonna keep you here and keep you in trouble. I was flocking to the people who said they can help me get some help. A lot of people took some time to really say, okay, Richard, you're a nice person, you made a bad choice, but you're still a nice person. You know, there's some redeeming quality to you. And I latched on to that, and I tried to build on that because in my heart, I knew I was going to get executed. And I wanted to prove to my mom that, hey, it wasn't your fault. I did it to myself, but these are the lessons I learned from you. So I spent a lot of time writing and trying to put into practice what we say to people. And slowly but surely, you know, I was able to grow up, you know, years, months became years in prison. I had been in like 5 or 6 years, and I embraced Islamic faith. You know, I found something that I couldn't say, okay, ask a bunch of questions, something I could practice, where you do good, you get rewarded, you do bad, you get punished. I understood that. And so during the Islamic faith, I was able to do some things to grow up more. And people say, how did you do 25 years and 4 months in prison? I done it day by day. I didn't do it all at one time. As for how I did it, if you asked me 25 years ago, how was I going to do this time? I said, man, I can't do it. I can't do it, you know. But a journey, as we often hear, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And I try to make good steps to where, okay, I can say, okay, I'm making good choices to my friends, to my family. Those who took the time to come visit me, I try not to get in trouble. All the stuff I could do to prove my worth to myself, to my family, to my Lord, I try to do those things. And through the grace and mercy of the Creator, I grew up to be a man, the one that can say, okay, I got conviction, I got principles. And I was able to do time to a point to where when I had to make a decision, I didn't make no decision based on desire. I tried to make them based on logic, education, and rationale. And see, that's how you got to make, we all got free choices. We got consequences to our choices. And I knew that I made a bad choice. These are the consequences of a bad choice. So I tried to make better choices because as when we're young, I'm sure you know this term, slippers count. When you shoot marbles, and that marble falls your hand, that's your shot. So I'm always thinking, oh, I didn't put myself in this jam, but I won't do it again. And then, oh man, I think this is about 84, 85. You know, they had the the big riots in '85, all this went on. I mean, TSP was boom, the murder capital of the penal system per 100 men, you know what I mean? It was all that, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, oh, I ain't with this here. I don't want no part of this here. And they would tell me, say, man, just keep your nose clean. That way, when it come time to go for some clemency to the governor, he might spare your life. I said, okay, you know, I ain't got no problem with that because I didn't want to get executed. And then, I think it was in 1989 or 90, they actually changed the law about, I ain't gonna say change the law, but they started applying the law as it should be applied about the aggravating circumstances opposed to the mitigating circumstances. They created the death penalty statute, quote unquote, for the worst of the worst. Somebody who got 10 to 15 murders. Somebody, quote unquote, charged manson. Not for a first time offender or someone who tripped and the gun went off, but, you know what I mean, they got, I don't like to use this term, but a simple murderer is not for death row because a lot of us believe a murder is a murder. I'm not rationalized, I'm just saying that's what the law says. And so I kept trying to, in my heart, put myself in a position to get some help. And then, I don't know how it happened, but the Supreme Court said, in applying the death penalty statute, you know, you got, some people should be there, some people shouldn't. And they said Richard Simon never should have been put on death row. And it was like they mailed me a life sentence in the mail. After all these years of saying I don't want to do no time, I was actually going to get off death row with no help from no lawyer. No, I'm not going to say no help from no lawyer, but it wasn't like in a traditional appeal. It was just like it came from a prayer answered. So, oh man, I'm stepping high, Dr. Haney. When they said it was time to go, that I was going, boom, I was off death row. It was like, man, after all them years of being on death row, preparing to die, it's okay, now you got to go live in prison, which was another culture shock in itself. But I, my family, my friend, we got what we had all prayed for. My life was spared, so to speak, from the old squawkers, they used to call it. So they sent me down to the general population. Now, make no, don't forget, now I've been locked up in a controlling unit for 16 years. I'm like a dinosaur. You know, I'm not like the population of the old. They got new population now. It's an institution. So I get out, I think it was May 26, 1995, on a Friday. I got out, went down to the Riverbend Unit 6, I was out. But, excuse me, a life sentence, which in many instances was a lot heavier than a death sentence, because, you know, for a death sentence, all you gotta do is die. For life, you gotta do it every day. And back then, I had one of those warrants to where you, it took close to 30 years to build it before they adjusted the sentence and that kind of stuff. And it was kind of depressing to be off death row to where everybody had spirituality, everybody had camaraderie to back, I was back out in that married world again to where people lying for a cigarette, people killing for a cigarette and all that kind of stuff. I was thrust back in as a, that brother said, Abbott, in the belly of the beast. And believe me, that's what it was. You know, if you don't know how to do time, you end up doing bad time. It took me a long time to really learn how to do time. And so I just started learning how to do the life sentence, not thinking I ever would get an opportunity to make parole because 30 years is a long time, you know, you're doing it day by day. So I tried to find ways to be happy or be content. Can't be happy in prison. Well, I couldn't be happy in prison, to be content. And so with my religion, I started hanging around my brothers. That way, we had something in common. We prayed together, we played ball together, we lift weights together, and that kind of stuff. I still had my sight then. And so during that time, I still was, like we say, was learning how to do this time. And slowly but surely, I still was putting some on my involvement in being a man. So this was like, at 95, so I'm 35 now. I've been in prison, like I say, 16, 17 years, tired of being in prison, but who can I talk to because I'm guilty as charged. So I'm just doing time. I got a parole date now, but it's so far off, I'm still just doing time, doing it day by day. I'm trying to live right, because as I said, as I was preparing to die, I picked up skills on trying to live. And I was blessed to meet a lot of good brothers who had got past all that penitentiary mentality and just was trying to be men. You know, like I said, a lot of times they say that people come to prison and pick up a Bible or Quran, but the Creator is going to show you how to be responsible and be respectful. You know what I mean? You can find manhood in religious books. And that's how I found my manhood, in the religious books. Learn how to have self-respect, respect my cellmate, respect everybody else. And I just started being who I was destined to be, which was a nice person. I wasn't perfect.
Okay, Richard, we're going to have to end this show for today over the last 30 seconds, but essentially this is the information that we wanted. I think that you've given us some excellent information about how you were able to overcome. It's a kind of situation that not many people would be able to even think about coming out of the system, but you were able to go there and then come out, and of course I appreciate that. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.